Hey everybody, it's Logan Albright here, back with another BookTube video for you. Today I'm doing a book haul, which I haven't done in a while, but I have some new books that I just got today and I wanted to show you. Now I bought these at Second Story Books in DuPont Circle in Washington, D.C., where I live. It's a great used bookstore. They specialize in a lot of rare, hard to find, out-of-print books. They have a lot of collectible books, first editions and things like that are usually well out of my price range. They also have a store in Rockville, Maryland that's a huge warehouse that is acres and acres of books and takes forever to get through. A great used bookstore if you're ever in the area. I can't recommend it highly enough. It's where I always go to buy my used books. So let's get right to what I got today. First, I got this beautiful red leather with gold trim copy of Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I read this book before, but I'm rereading it with a friend, and so I wanted to get a nice edition of it. And this one's great. It's got, for the Franklin Mystery Collection, it says. You can get really good deals on these books. They're very expensive when you buy them new, but if you buy them used, I mean, look at this. You can't tell it's used. It looks brand new. You can get good deals in used bookstores, so I really like to go. The one Second Story Books that I go to has a lot of these type of books that are usually half off or more, and really good deals for high-quality books. You'll recall that the first video on this channel I ever did was a review of Daphne du Maurier's other famous book, My Cousin Rachel. She's a great writer. She writes about Cornwall. She's got a very kind of spooky, atmospheric, fog on the moors style of storytelling. Great books. I love everything I've read by her, and so I'm looking forward to rereading Rebecca. The next book on my list is First Principles by Herbert Spencer. Sounds pretty boring, but I actually love Herbert Spencer. He's a writer that I've admired for a long time. Back on the shelf behind me, might be able to see I have his 2-volume Principles of Ethics, which is one of my favorite books on the subject of ethics. I think it's a great, very well-reasoned philosophical treatise on the subject. He was sort of a Darwinian materialist. He was an evolutionary biologist. He thought a lot about sociology, psychology, biology, and he approached them all from a evolutionary psychology, evolutionary biology perspective. And I don't agree with all of what he has to say in that regard. I think he's somewhat misguided in his materialism, but he's a very, very clever thinker and very thorough in his approach to the way he deals with the subjects. And I really enjoy reading him. He was also profoundly libertarian, which I enjoy as well. So I'm looking forward to reading First Principles. Next up, I have Earthly Powers by Anthony Burgess. Now, you'll remember Anthony Burgess as the author of A Clockwork Orange, which is a great book. And I've always loved that book and the movie associated with it. I'm a big Stanley Kubrick fan. But I've never read anything else by him. He's written lots of other books, and I feel like they get neglected because of the fame of his one-hit wonder. So I wanted to read something else by him, and this is what they had at the bookstore, Earthly Powers. I don't know much about it yet, but I'm looking forward to diving into it to see if the rest of his books are as good as A Clockwork Orange. Let's hope they are. Next up, and this is kind of a wild card pick, it's Mahala. It is a book, it says, a classic novel of the Essex marshes by Sabine Baring-Gould. I picked this up on a complete whim when I saw it on the shelf because I have a book on werewolves by Sabine Baring-Gould. He was a 19th century kind of folklorist and scholar, and his name shows up in a lot of bibliographies of books I read. So I'm pretty familiar with his name, but not very much with his writings, and I've never read anything fictional by him. But I do admire the book that I do have by him on werewolves. It's a great study. And so I just thought, I'll try it. Essex Marshes sounds pretty fun. It says on the back cover that this is a Victorian novel in the style of Charles Dickens or the Bronte sisters. Lots of comic characters. Sounds like a fun read. Maybe I'll be surprised and have a new favorite on my hands that I've never heard of before. That's all I brought today, but I went to Second Story Books again a few weeks ago, and I didn't buy enough to do a book haul video on it, but I did buy a couple books I thought were interesting that I want to show you now. I can lump them all together into one piece. So I bought this 2-volume History of Magic by Joseph Ennemoser, which is apparently quite rare and hard to come by. I think I got lucky stumbling upon it. It was a little bit expensive, but I'm glad I got it. It looks like library copies with these dust jackets, these plastic dust jackets. But it's supposed to be pretty good. It's one of the first treatises on the subject of the history of magic ever. There's a couple others I've read and I have in my collection. There's a really good one by a French occultist called Eliphas Levi called The History of Magic that I've read. But this one predates that, and as you can see, it's much longer and more involved. So I'm going to get through that. That's going to be a lot of fun because it really plays into my interest in the occult and the supernatural. I'll be reading that pretty soon as well. So that's all today. I got a lot of good books to get through. I got a lot of reading to do, so I'm going to go do it. Thank you for watching as always. Leave me comments in the comments section, like, subscribe, click the notifications button, do all the stuff you're supposed to do, and then I'll catch you next time. I've been Logan Albright. Thank you so much.